Hello and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you are returning, thank you as always for all of your support. I sincerely appreciate every single one of you. I am super excited because today is a collaboration with my friend Tammie from the Rusted Willow. So let's go ahead and get right on into the crafting. DIY number one. All right, I have this glass vase or candle holder that was in my stash. I think it's a vase, and a Dollar Tree little stand, for lack of a better term, that is from one of my sweet subscribers, Rose. She had sent that to me a while back. And then I have some nautical rope, and I am just using my hot glue to attach the little riser to my glass vase. And if you want this to have a more of a long-term hold, I definitely would suggest using E6000, but the hot glue is going to be sufficient for my purposes. And now I'm starting at the base of what I've put together here and using the nautical rope to wrap around the very base, and I'm going to work my way up and around. And I want to apologize right off the bat if you end up hearing any banging in the background. Our roof is actually being replaced at the moment, and I have got to get this voiceover done because the video has to get posted today. So forgive any background noise that you might hear, and I will also apologize in advance if any of the dogs that are presently in my house start barking at what's going on outside. But at any rate, you can see that I am continuing to wrap the nautical rope around. I had seen something online somewhere, I honestly don't recall where I saw it, that inspired me to do this. And I just thought it was going to be perfect for this Coastal Farmhouse video. So just working my way around, and when I get to the end, I'm cutting the rope at a bit of an angle, and I'm doing my best to keep it from fraying. I want to try and have it just kind of meld back into the rope on the row below it. And I'm ending this in the same area, vertically speaking, as what I had started. So just below there at the base is where I had actually started as well. So now I have this moss from actually I got it at Michael's, and I thought it looked like coral. So I thought it was so fun. I was excited to find it. I dropped in some sand also from Michael's, but I know you can get sand at the Dollar Tree, depending on whether your Dollar Tree carries it. Dropping in some shells that I also had gotten from the Dollar Tree. And you can decorate this with little starfish if you have them, or whatever floats your boat. You know, if you have sea glass, that would probably be really pretty in here as well. And then I'm just going to drop in some of my different colored moss, because again, I thought it looked like coral, and just giving it a little bit of like a sea vibe. Driftwood would probably be really pretty in here as well. I would just say use your imagination. And I did want to use a real candle, but I seem to be out of little pillar candles in my stash. I'm gonna have to hit up Dollar Tree again soon. So I just have my little wireless candle, battery powered candle there. But let me know what you think. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a collaboration with my friend Tammie from the Rusted Willow. She is such a sweetheart, and she has such great imagination. If you are not familiar with her channel, I hope you'll go and check it out. I have a link to her video as well as to her channel in my description box. Please send her some love and let her know I sent you. DIY number two. All right, I have a Dollar Tree heart cutout thing, one of those little Dollar Tree crates, I'm gonna call it, and then these little words. It came in a pack of like 5 or 6, and yes, it says welcome fall on it, but that's okay. We're going to use our X-Acto knife, and this is a cork backed ruler, which I'm hoping will help keep it from sliding when I'm trying to do this under here. And I'm just literally going to score that solid line of wood. It's like, I think it's called balsa wood. So it's really pretty easy to cut down. I'm just going to score it multiple times. I probably scored it about 20 times. And eventually I was able to get through. And so I'm going to set the fall piece aside for someday in the future. And I'm just going to use the welcome. Now I'm getting out my chalk paints. I've got ocean, pool, crystal, agave, and then celery. But I was trying to decide which one I did not want to use because I only wanted 4. And now I got rid of the celery for this particular project. So now I've got my Adirondack white giving a like a light coat at first. I was thinking dry brush. And then I was like, you know what? I don't like that the wood looks so new under here. So I ultimately gave it just one good coat of white paint. I didn't bother painting that backside that I'm holding right there because eventually we're going to be gluing that to the heart-shaped piece. So whenever I'm going to be gluing something like that, I try to leave the wood unpainted because it'll just help with the adhesion. And now I am taking my little welcome sign. I'm using the ocean chalk paint on here. Afterwards, I was wishing instead of ocean, I had grabbed the Nantucket blue because that's also a really great color. But now I've got my mineral chalk paint, and this is what I'm wishing I had done with the little crate before I painted it white. But I'm just going to do opposite, right? So I'm kind of distressing, for lack of a better term. I'm aging. There you go. That's really what I was trying to say. I'm going to try and just age the wood a little bit. So I'm using it a bit, kind of more like a stain. And now with this little crate that's been painted white, I'm just going to dry brush some of the mineral chalk paint on here just to help distress it a little bit. And then I'm going to do the opposite on the heart. I'm going to be using a dry brush. This is actually the Silver Lining chalk paint that I'm coming in with right now. And then I'm using pool on that other section right there. Actually, was it Silver Lining? No, not Silver Lining. That first one was Crystal. Sorry, not Silver Lining. It was Crystal, then pool, then the agave at the bottom, and now I'm using ocean. And so now I've got my wood glue. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of hot glue for that instant bond, but the wood glue will give that permanent hold. Sorry for my head in the shot there. And then I'm going to add my little welcome sign on the front. Now, this was inspired by one of my sweet subscribers, Sarah. She did this a few weeks ago and shared it with me. It was a shout out, and she asked if I might try to recreate one of her projects and put my own twist on it. So this is per Sarah's request. So thank you so much, Sarah, for the idea. I thought your project was super cute and I was more than happy to give it a go. And now you've seen I've just cut down some floral foam. I'm dropping a whole bunch of hot glue in the bottom of my crate and securing the foam down inside of there. And then I'm going to be grabbing those lavender pieces in just a minute. Those are from the Walmart. So now I had grabbed my regular Dollar Tree moss, but then decided I wanted to use some of the colored moss again instead. I started tucking that down in there, and then I realized, you know what, it was going to use up a lot of moss, and the moss from Michael's is a lot more expensive than the Dollar Tree moss. Obviously, the Dollar Tree moss is like $1.25. And the moss that I had from Michael's, I think it was half off, but still, I think even half off, it was like $3, right? So I tucked in the Dollar Tree moss first, and now I am just adding in some of the different colored moss all around the top. Now, if I had to do this over again, you can see I'm going around the foam because I'm thinking, oh, I want to leave that open for my picks, and thinking my picks are going to cover that. Well, if I had to do it over again, I would have put moss all over the top surface of the foam. And I probably would have worried less about the sides. I wouldn't have worried about tucking moss down in along the sides. Because you're going to see in a little bit, once I have the picks in there, I'm like, oh, I can see the floral foam. And then I'll start like sticking moss inside of there to cover up the foam in between the picks. So this is one instance where you can learn from my mistake and go ahead and cover it with moss first and then add your picks in. And your picks should be able to go in right, through the moss without a problem. But I've just got 2 picks here that I'm using, and true to form, I am cutting them all down and just using the little individual picks and just tucking them in wherever it looks nice to my eye. As I always say, do what makes your heart happy. You know, crafting should be fun and it should make you smile. So, whatever looks good to you is exactly what it needs to be. And all of this can just be taken as inspiration, right? So just as Sarah inspired me, her piece was more in pinks and purples. I put a coastal twist on this. So perhaps you have a different style, but you can envision the colors that you would want to use for this. Do whatever makes you happy, but let me know what you think. DIY number 3. All right, this is a sign that I had gotten from a Michael's grab bag, if you will believe it. It was originally $24.99. I got it in the $5 grab, and I said bag, but it was really a grab box. And then I was also showing you the Love wood cutouts that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. There were 2 in that pack. I started taking off those little cardboard protectors, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to leave them on. So I'm trying to decide what I want to do with this. I definitely want to leave that natural wood around the inside of the frame. I'm going to leave that alone, but the rest of this I want to paint. I'm going to use the ocean to cover up all of the floral pattern, and then I'm going to be using pool on the area where we've got this kitchen is seasoned with love. Now, if you feel like you don't have quite the steadiest hand, you can certainly tape this off. I opted not to. I'm just running a very flat brush right along each of the edges and just getting it all filled in like that. Now, the ocean chalk paint did offer really pretty good coverage, but I did go back in and I gave it a second coat. Once that was done, I'm coming in with the pool. Pool definitely did not have as good coverage, as you can see, probably because it's just a much lighter color. So I did end up with 3 or maybe even 4 coats of the pool on this. I'm not sure if there was anything that I could have done. I guess I could have gone over it all with white first and then gone in with the pool, and perhaps that would have knocked out the letters a little bit better. I'm not sure. Not sure on that. But I'm just going in and being careful around all of the edges to make sure that I'm not hitting my ocean color. And just getting everything covered up here. And for some of the last coats, I did come in with a larger brush just to help with brush strokes and help it be a little smoother. So then while that was drying, I grabbed one of the little love cutouts and my Adirondack white chalk paint again. At first I was thinking I wanted to try and keep the white just on the top surface because it has a really pretty dark brown surface around the edges. And eventually I was like, nope. I just want all of it white. And so I went ahead with my little brush and got all the nooks and crannies. And now I have this cute little seashell from one of the packages that I've gotten from Dollar Tree. And I am just covering up the O with it. So I'm just seeing how it's going to look on my sign. Already super excited. And then I decided I wanted to brighten up the outer frame on this. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but the frame itself, it was a little bit more of an, I think it was, I don't know. It's not as bright a white. I was going to say it's a little bit off-white. I don't know. It's between white and off-white. I just wanted it brighter and to match my little love sign. So I had gone over with that. Now I've got my love about where I want to position it. I have not secured it just yet. But I'm going to come in and I'm just going to hand letter this because I was being lazy and I didn't want to bother with my Cricut, if I'm completely honest. So, you know, if you have stencils, if you have a Cricut and you want to do it that way, you know, again, do what makes your heart happy. But I opted to just hand letter this with my gold paint pen. It's just a Sharpie paint marker, paint pen. And then I just added on some more of my wood glue. Sorry, I'm a little bit off frame, and some of the hot glue for the instant bond. And I am securing my little love to the center of my frame now. And just kind of removing some of that extra hot glue that was kind of smooshing out. And that is it. I'm in love with this piece, and I would love to hear what you think. And now it's time for a shout out timeout. Sweet Grammy Sagmo, some of these look so I want to eat that sundae and that milkshake. Oh my goodness. And adorable Jamie, I love all these coastal items. And great Kathy, these are so wonderful for our celebration coming up. And terrific Tracy, we are all set for 4th of July. Awesome, Valerie. These projects are just fantastic, and I'm so happy you shared with me so that I could share with everyone else. If you would like a shout out, please send me an email at craftedbycorie@gmail.com. DIY number 4. All right, I have these little bamboo hoops from the Dollar Tree and a whole bunch of shells. I think I told you a while back that I had a plan for this. So I am going to take a whole bunch of shells, my drill, I've got a scrap piece of wood, and I'm gonna drill a little hole at the top of each of these shells. I ended up doing, and the drill bit went right through it. I was amazed. Even some of these others that were like super fine, yeah. But I did this with, I think it was close to 150 shells, something like that. I don't know. I think I had 16 rows or strands of 11 shells each. So actually it's more than, what is that, 176? I think I did the math right in my head, but that's about how many shells I've got here that I did this for. And now I am just kind of separating them by size because I'm going to want to put my largest shells at the top and then have my smaller shells towards the bottom. And then I have those special ones over on the left off to the side, and I'm going to be using those at the bottom of each row. And then I've got a few extras of those, so they'll be spliced somewhere in the middle of the rows as well. But at any rate, now I am grouping these into 16 separate groups. So I'm spreading out the different sizes equally amongst my groups. Yeah, I'm probably being a little bit more over the top than necessary, but I don't know. It was just how I had it envisioned. So now I have a fishing line that my sweet husband Rich picked up for me because I was like, help, I need this. And he grabbed it while he was out and about. And I am tying off my largest shell first. I left a length of about 8 inches off the end, and then I'm using the long end to attach the rest of the shells. And I'm leaving maybe like a 1/4 inch of space between shells as they hang. So that's why you'll see me continue to like kind of lift this up, making sure that all the shells are hanging so that there's a little bit of space between them so they're not hitting each other. And then as I did more rows, I'm just measuring to see if I've got them all kind of lined up the same. Hopefully that makes sense, because I'm going to be doing 16 of these and I want them all to be about the same. So this is them all done. They're all strung. I just did simple knots down the fishing line with them. And now I'm going to attach them to my hoops. So the smaller hoop I'm doing first, and I'm going to be tying 8 of my strands onto the small hoop, and then I will tie the other 8 onto my larger hoop. And I found the best way to do this for me was to wrap the fishing line around the hoop a couple of times and then tie it off. It just seemed to give it a little bit more stability and helped keep it from slipping as I was trying to tie the knot. So that would be my recommendation. And then I just spread them out evenly all the way around the hoop once I had all 8 of them on there. So I did that with both of them, and once I had everything attached to both hoops, I went ahead, I'm just checking it again, but then I'm going to go ahead and grab the smaller hoop, and I'm going to drop all those shells right down through the center of the bigger hoop, So you can see they're both together now. And then I am going to grab a chain from the Dollar Tree that is usually used for their hanging planters. And I'm going to use this to hang it. And I was trying to figure out the best way to do this, but I think I was actually pretty creative in doing this. So I'm threading it underneath the small inner hoop, and then I'm going to attach it to the outer hoop. So when I lift this up, the smaller hoop will essentially sit on top of the chain, but it won't be able to go anywhere because the chain spreads out below it to attach to the larger hoop. Hopefully that makes sense. You'll see in a second what I'm talking about, but it actually worked out really, really well. Now I got this attached on here and then decided I really didn't want it to be black. And honestly, I completely had forgotten because I had always intended to paint it, but I was so excited to see if this was going to work. And I know you can't see it I was off screen there just because this is so large, but I will have pictures for you to see it at the end, so you can see how, there it is. And yeah, that's after I painted the chain. But let me know what you think of this one. DIY number 5. All right, this is a Dollar Tree wreath form in the form of a starfish and a bunch of Dollar Tree ribbon. I believe each of these rolls had 9 feet of ribbon on it, and I honestly had no concept as to how much ribbon I was going to need for doing what I'm doing. Let me just say, it takes a lot of ribbon. A lot of ribbon. I didn't have nearly enough. I had maybe, and this might even be off, I might have had a quarter of what I actually needed. I might not have even had that much. But I used up all of those rolls, and then I was like, you know what? I need reinforcements. And so I grabbed some other ribbon that I had in my stash that I thought would complement these ribbons. So I've got a kind of semi-sheer ribbon. It's like sheer in the middle with satin on either side and the white. And then I had a sheer blue ribbon that I was using. And so I had moved some of my ties to different places on the wreath, as you can see here, just trying to get everything a little bit more balanced, and just added in as much ribbon until, if I'm again completely honest, I was getting impatient with it. So you can totally fill in the entire wreath form with bows, and if you use wider ribbon, it obviously will cover a larger surface than using the small ribbon. So that might have been something that I should have considered, but this turned out actually really fun. It's a little bit unique, but I've got my jute cord now from Walmart, and I am gonna go ahead and I'm kind of like finger crocheting it around that center hoop, if you will. So I'm just basically creating a loop, sticking my jute twine through it again, pulling it tight, and then I've got another loop, and I'm just kind of continuing around because I didn't want to commit to tying or cutting the jute just then, but then I ultimately had to. I ran out of options, so I cut off a whole length of it, and then I was kind of just struggling with weaving it in and out through the wreath form. So I finally was able to kind of bunch it up, and I got a better system going with tucking it in and through. But I'm basically going around each of the lines, the wires. So if you ever made like a God's eye when you were a kid, I was kind of doing that. So if you recall how you would go around the sticks, wrap it around, continue on to the next one, wrap it around, continue. That's what I'm doing with this. Hopefully that's a good explanation. You know what I'm talking about. But I think they might have also been called dream catchers or something. I can't remember. But But yeah, I continued to just kind of weave it around here all the way to the point where those shorter wires ended. And then I went ahead and I tied it off in the back. I actually had a perfect amount of jute twine for this. Might have been able to use like 1 more inch to help tie it off, but I'm just attaching it to the starting piece. And then this tie off actually was able to serve as a hanger as well. So that worked out perfectly. So just gonna tie that off. And then once that was all done, I did feel like it needed a little something extra. So I'm just cleaning up my mess here because that jute twine likes to shed a lot. So grabbing another little shell, applying a whole bunch of hot glue to the inside of the shell. I'm sorry, it's out frame. And then just applying it to the center. And I've got my cute little farmhouse starfish coastal thing for my front door. I hope you like this. I think it's super cute and super whimsical, but let me know what you think. And yeah, so fun. A little crazy, but fun. But let me know what you think. Okay, everybody, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the project, please be sure to give me a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment and let me know which one was your favorite, or just say hello. And if you haven't already subscribed, I hope you'll consider doing that and ringing that bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Just a reminder, make sure you go check out Tammie's channel, The Rusted Willow. There is a link for her channel as well as her video in my description box. Tell her I sent you her way and give her some love for me. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching and take good care. Bye.